Okay, August 18th, we're going to start in the book of Esther, Esther 1:1 through 3:15. Now it came to pass in the day of Asterius, that was the Asterius who reigned over 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia, in the days of King Xerxes, sat at the throne of the kingdom, which was in Shanun, the citadel that was in the third year of his reign. He made a feast for all of his officials and servants, the powers of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes and the of the provinces being before him. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the splendor of his excellent majesty for many days, 180 days in all. And when those days were complete, the king made a feast lasting 7 days for all the people who were present in Shashun, the citadel, from the great to small, in the court of the garden of the king's palace. There was white and blue curtains fastened with cords of fine linen and purple on silver rods and marble pillars, and on the couches were gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of alabaster, turquoise, and white and black marble. And they served drinks in golden vessels, each vessel being different from the other, with royal wine in abundance according to the generosity of the king. In accordance with the law, the drinking was not compulsory, for the king had ordered all the officials of his household that they should not do according to each man's pleasure. Queen Vesti also made a feast for the women in the royal palace which belonged to King Xerxes. On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Miham, Bisa, Hasban, Bitha, Agla, Ziar, and Karaz, 7 eunuchs who served in the presence of King Xerxes, to bring Queen Vesti before the king, wearing her royal crown, in order to show her beauty to the people and the officials, for she was beautiful to behold. But Queen Vesti refused to come at the king's command, brought by his eunuchs. Therefore the king was furious, and his anger burned within him. Then the king said to the wise men who understood the times, for this was the king's manner towards all who knew law and justice, those closest to him being Karshun, Shadar, Adamar, Tamish, Maris, Masara, and Menamat, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, who had access to the king's presence, who ranked highest in the kingdom. What shall we do with Queen Vasti? According to the law, because she did not obey the command of King Xerxes brought to her by the eunuchs. And Metamachon answered before the king and the princes, Queen Vasti has not only wronged the king, but also the princesses and all the people who are in the province of King Xerxes. For the queen's behavior will become known to all women, so that they will despise their husband in their eyes, and they will report King Xerxes' command to Queen Vasti to be brought to before him, but she did not come. This very day, the noble ladies in Persia and Media will say to all the king's officials that have heard of this behavior of the queen, thus there will be excessive contempt and wrath. For if it pleases the king, let a royal decree go out from him, and let it be recorded in all the laws of Persians and the Medes, so that it will not be altered, that Vasti shall come no more before the king of Xerxes, and let the king give her royal position to another who is better than she. When the king's decree when the king's decree, which he will make, is proclaimed throughout all the empire, for it is great, all the wives will honor their husbands, both great and small. And the reply pleased the king and the princesses, and the king did according to all the word of Memucan. Then he sent letters to all the king's provinces, to each province in its own script, and to every people in their own language, that each man should be the master of his own house and speak in the language of his own people. After these things, when the wrath of the king Xerxes subsided, he remembered Vasti, what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's servants who attended him said, "Let beautiful young virgins be sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces for his kingdom, that they may gather all the beautiful young virgins to Shashan, the citadel, into the women's quarters, under the custody of Haggai, the king's eunuch, custodian of the women, and let beauty preparations be given to them. Then let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vasti." This thing pleased the king, and he did so. So Shushan, the citadel, in Susan the citadel there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jarom, the son of Shammai, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. Kish had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captives who had been captured with Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And Mordecai had brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman was lovely and beautiful. When her father and mother died, Mordecai took her in as his own daughter. So it was when the king's command and decree was heard, and when many young women were gathered at Shushan, the citadel, under the custody of Haggai, that Esther was taken into the king's palace, into the care of Haggai, the custodian of women. Now the young woman pleased him, and she obtained his favor. So he readily gave beauty preparations to her, besides her allowance. The seven choice maidservants were provided for her. And though then seven choice maidservants were provided for her from the king's palace, and he moved her and her maidservants to the best place in the house of the women. Esther had not revealed her people or family, for Mordecai had charged her not to reveal it. And every day Mordecai placed in front of the court of the women's quarters to learn of Esther's welfare and what was happening to her. Each young woman's turn came to go into King Xerxes after she had completed 12 months of preparation, according to the regulations of the women, for thus were the days of their preparations appropriate. 6 months with oil and myrrh, 6 months with perfumes and preparations for beautifying women. Thus prepared, each young woman went to the king, and she was given whatever she desired to take with her from the women's quarters to the king's palace. In the evening she went, and in the morning she returned to the second house of the women, to the custody of Shushan, the king's eunuch, who kept the concubines. She would not go in to the king again unless the king delighted in her and called for her by name. Now, when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter to go to the king, she requested nothing but what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the custodian of the women, advised. Then Esther obtained favor in the sight of all who saw her. So Esther was taken to King Xerxes into the royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. The king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins. So he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast, the feast of Esther, for all of his officials and servants, and he proclaimed a holiday in the province and gave gifts according to the generosity of the king. When the virgins were gathered together a second time, Mordecai sat within the king's gate. Now Esther had not revealed her family or her people, just as Mordecai had charged her, for Esther obeyed the command of Mordecai as she was brought up by him. In those days when Mordecai sat within the king's gate, two of the king's eunuchs, Bithan and Teresh, doorkeepers, became furious and sought to lay hands on King Xerxes. So the matter became known to Mordecai, who told Queen Esther, and Esther informed the king in Mordecai's name. And when an inquiry was made into the matter, it was confirmed, and both were hanged on the gallows, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles in the presence of the king. After these things, King Xerxes promoted Haman, the son of Hamanach, the Agite, and advanced him to set his seat above all the princes who were with him. And the king's servants who were within the king's gate bowed and paid homage to Haman, for so the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow nor pay homage. Then the king's servants who were within the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you transgress the king's command?" Now it happened when they spoke to him daily that he would not listen to them, and they had told it to Haman to see whether Mordecai's word would stand. For Mordecai had told him that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay homage, Haman was filled with wrath. But he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him of the people of Mordecai. Instead, Haman sought to destroy all the Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom. Xerxes had made, oh, Xerxes, the kingdom of Xerxes, the people of Mordecai. In the first month, which is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Xerxes, they cast pur, that is the lot, lot, before Haman to determine the day and the month until it fell on the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from all other peoples, and they do not keep the king's laws. Therefore, it is not fitting for the king to let them remain. If it pleases the king, let a decree be written that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work to bring it into the king's treasuries. So the king took his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman and the son of Hamath the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, the money and the people are given to you to do with them what seems good to you. Then the king's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first month, and the decree was written according to all that Haman commanded. To the king's satraps, to the governors who were over each province, to the officials of all the people, to every province according to its script, and to every people in their language. In the name of the king Ahasuerus, it was written and sealed with the king's signet ring. And the letters were sent by couriers to all the king's province to destroy, to kill, and to annihilate all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, to plunder their possessions. A copy of the document was to be issued as law in every province, being published for all the people, that they should be ready for the day. The couriers went out, hastened by the king's command, and the decree was proclaimed at Shushan the citadel. So the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was perplexed. 1 Corinthians 11:17 through 34. Now, in giving these instructions, I do not praise you, since you come together not for the better, but for worse. For the first of all, when you come together as a church, I hear that there are divisions among you, and in part I believe it. For there must also be factions among you, that those who are approved may be recognized among you. Therefore, when you come together in one place, it is not to eat the Lord's Supper. For in eating, each one takes his own supper ahead of the others, and one is hungry and another is drunk. What? Do you not have houses to eat and drink in? Or do you despise the church of God and to the shame of those who have nothing? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I do not praise you. For I received from the Lord that which I also delivered to you, that the Lord Jesus, on the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. In the same manner, he took the cup after the supper, saying, this is the cup of the new covenant in my blood. This do as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat the bread and drink the cup, you proclaim the Lord's death till he comes. Therefore, whoever eats this bread or drinks this cup of the Lord is in an unworthy manner will be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For he who eats and drinks in an unworthy manner eats and drinks judgment to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this reason, many are weak and sick among you, and many sleep. For if, for if we would judge ourselves, we would not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened by the Lord, that we may not be condemned within the world. Therefore, my brethren, when you come together to eat, wait for one another. But if anyone is hungry, let him eat at home, lest you come together for judgment, and the rest I will set in order when I come. Psalms 35:17 through 28. Lord, how long will you look on? Rescue me from their destructions, my precious life from the lions. I will give you thanks in the great assembly. I will praise you among many people. Let them not rejoice over me who are wrongfully my enemies, nor let them wink with an eye who hate me without cause. For they do not speak peace, but they devise deceitful manners against the quiet ones of the land. They also open their mouths wide against me. Sorry, I don't know if this is still running. I got a error. Okay. They do not speak peace, for they devise deceitful manners against the quiet ones in the land. They also open their mouths wide against me and say, "Ah, ah, our eyes have seen it. This you have seen, O Lord. Do not keep silent, O Lord. Do not be far from me. Stir up yourselves and awake to my vindication, to my cause, my God, my Lord. Vindicate me, O Lord, my God, according to your righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. Let them not say in their hearts, Ah, so we would have it. Let them not say, We have swallowed him up. Let them be ashamed and brought to mutual confusion, who rejoice at my hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor, who exalt themselves against me. Let them shout for joy. Let them shout for joy and be glad, who favor my righteous cause. And let them say continually, Let the Lord be magnified, who has pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. And my tongue shall speak your righteousness and of your praise all day long. Proverbs 21:19-20. Better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. There is a desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow.